I have a rich third-generation mother, a domineering father, and a little domineering sister, and I am a playboy, only knowing how to eat, drink, and enjoy life. Because living in the moment is my life's pursuit. But one day, I discovered that I was the villainous male supporting character in a novel, and my ultimate fate was to meet my end tragically. When I woke up, I found myself with my hand on a woman's shoulder strap. The woman beneath me had messy hair, and her body was perfectly wrapped by a tight-fitting skirt. Her measurements, 168 centimeters, 3'6". Oh, wow. This is absolutely stunning. This figure is worthy of the female lead. In the original storyline, as the villainous male supporting character, I was attracted to the female lead, Shen Yuchu. When I couldn't seduce her, I drugged her, locked the door from the outside, and invited reporters to lurk around. The next morning, the reporters burst in and took pictures of us together in the same room. To minimize public opinion, after our families arranged a marriage, I kept ruining the relationship between the male and female leads. And eventually, I went bankrupt because of Shen Yuchu. It's that cliche and melodramatic of a storyline, but it really caught me. I fear nothing in the world, except for not having money. But fortunately, I awakened just at the beginning of the plot. I became aware. I turned to my side, carefully withdrawing my legs that were straddling the woman's sides. Just as I was halfway through the movement, I met her crimson eyes. I saw the murderous glare in her eyes. My body froze. I said, "Actually, I wanted to discuss with you about the question of whether it's me or not. Do you believe me?" Shen Yuchu, of course, she didn't believe me. She grabbed my hand and flipped over, instantly switching our positions. In the dim light, our posture was enough to make one's thoughts wander. If you ignore the elbow Shen Yuchu had pressing against my neck, what exactly do you want to do? Shen Yuchu's cold voice came through. People are sometimes strange like this. Even under such a tense atmosphere, they can't help but have wild thoughts. She's a little bit like a domineering CEO. For a moment in my mind, various domineering CEO quotes passed by. Practice proves wild thoughts can also lead to inspiration. I thought of a solution. I decided to play the role of a drunk man. I lifted my gaze, then slowly closed my eyes and opened them again. A hazy mist started to rise from my eyes. Then I softly lifted my arm. I gently lifted Shen Yuchu's chin and said, "Hey, is this behavior of yours to attract my attention?" The effects of the drug on Shen Yuchu began to take effect. Her consciousness grew a little hazy. The elbow that was on my neck wasn't applying any force at all. I pushed with some strength, and Shen Yuchu fell to the side. I then adjusted my position, lying more relaxed on the bed, and said, "I'm tired. You move on your own." Shen Yuchu twitched his lips, looking at me with a gaze that screamed crazy. I wasn't sure if Shen Yuchu had been lured by me, but he had already crawled into the bathroom, still half lying. I listened to the sound of water from the bathroom, staring at the ceiling, recalling the plot. The male lead of the entire book is Jibadai, who works at Shen Yuchu's company. The two of them fought side by side at work, and were mutually attracted to each other. They later discovered that Jibadai was Shen Yuchu's savior from when she was a child, and their relationship heated up once again. My role was to fan the flames of their relationship, making the sparks of love burn even brighter. I never expected that my ability to make a scene and stir up trouble would one day be of value. But I had already awakened, and avoiding the plot was my first strategy to continue living a wealthy life. As I thought about it, I fell asleep. I dreamt I was eating hairy crabs. The taste of the crab was so delicious. I eagerly picked it up and was about to enjoy it when the crab's pincers suddenly snapped like springs and clamped down on my neck. "Help! I can't breathe!" I gasped and closed my eyes. My neck was gripped by a pair of long, slender hands, and I could see the faint veins on them. I looked at the culprit who almost suffocated me. Her hair was completely wet, which made her eyes and brows look even more alluring. The corners of her eyes had a slight redness, adding to her broken, fragile beauty. But I wasn't in the mood to admire this broken beauty. I had a serious case of morning mood. Oh, one could interrupt my sleep. Oh, one, so I grabbed the pillow behind me and threw it straight at Shen Yachu's head. He froze for a moment, seemingly not expecting someone to dare do this to him. But in the next second, he picked up the pillow and threw it right back at me. That day, the headline Young Master Z and Shen's big and little brothers in an intense. My father was furious, and I was trembling in fear, while my mother and sister, afraid of being dragged could only hide behind the door and eavesdrop. Z Yangsing, you sure have guts, daring to provoke Shen Yachu. If you don't stop now, what's next? Are you going to master drinking, gambling, and everything else too? But he started it by choking me. The evidence is right here. And you're still here trying to argue with me? My dad threw the photos on the table. In the photo, I was holding a pillow against Shen Yachu's hand, lifting it high. How wrong I am. Shen Yachu and I were having a pillow fight. I had the upper hand for a few moments, finally turning the tables, when a reporter came in and snapped this moment. These photos make it look like I was all ready for the fight. But at that moment, everything came crashing down. He choked you. You deserved it. Forcing yourself on a good woman, is that what you're capable of? Don't even mention him. I almost want to choke you myself. Now the whole circle's gossiping about your violent behavior. How you broke Shen Yachu's leg. I wonder who will dare marry you now. Tomorrow, go visit the Shen family and then you'll stay home and reflect for half a month. Oh, going out. After that, he stormed off in anger. I felt so wronged by Shen Yachu that it was my own fault for not paying attention and falling off the bed. And now they're calling me violent and fierce. My sister took a picture, patted my left shoulder and said, "Bro, you're really brave." My mom patted my right shoulder and said, "Good son. You're just like me when I was young." Mom, why do you sound so pleased about it? Shen Yachu's parents are researchers, and they're often away on research trips. Shen Yachu's grandparents live at their house, along with his uncle. I always thought Shen Yachu's family was a serious and formal one, because Shen Yachu himself always wore a cold, stern face. But at that moment, Shen Yachu's uncle pulled me aside, grinning and saying, "Wow, Dian, you're really impressive. I haven't seen Shen Yachu with such an annoyed expression in a long time. The last time was when he was a kid and got bitten by a dog. Come on, little uncle, I'll give you a card." Even though I know this is his way of mocking me, he's still praising me. It's not just because you're my niece, but because I'm fond of you. Why are you giving me a card? Grandfather Shen smiled slyly at me and asked, "Ziyan, do you have a girlfriend?" I said seriously and replied, "No." "Then would you be interested in getting engaged to our family?" I was stunned by this forced turn of events. My father was confused, since no one had ever shown interest in his son before. My mother, however, was happy because her son would soon have a business-savvy daughter-in-law. This world is so absurd. My father didn't immediately agree to the marriage. He said that life is too easy when satisfaction comes too quickly. Such a life is too light. I replied, "You speak nonsense." My mother nodded approvingly from the side. Then she patted my hand. "Young man, work hard." They left in a carefree manner, leaving me standing there, filled with confusion. In the following months, I was busy every day. Busy enjoying life, busy looking at properties. I thought about it. If I really went bankrupt in the future, I could still earn some rent from the properties. Then I saw Shen Yachu again. But this time it was on a hospital bed. Although it was a hospital bed, I have to say, our fates are really that peculiar. I went to look at properties, specifically real estate under the Shen family's name, and just so happened to bump into him doing an on-site inspection. That day, in summary, I was looking at properties, and he was inspecting them. I was on the second floor. He was on the first floor. Isn't it a coincidence? The railing on the second floor had a problem, and I fell. I landed right on him. But fortunately, I was lucky. I fell onto the lawn and was mostly fine. But Shen Yachu, because of my sudden weight, immediately passed out. He broke one of his hands. I felt guilty, and I wanted to make it up to him. To show my sincerity, I came to the hospital every day to bring him food. Ta-da, Shen Yachu. Today we're having crayfish. Come on, smell it. I'm telling you, as a domineering CEO, you've definitely never had this. I got it from that old brand restaurant under the banyan tree after waiting in line for a long time. I opened the lunchbox and placed it in front of him. And when I looked up, I met his deep eyes. What's wrong? It's anti-inflammatory. I'm the patient. I said, I know. I just had surgery not long ago, and I can't eat anything too strong. I put the spoon into his hand and placed the porridge very close to him, so he could reach it easily. I heard you don't have much of an appetite, but does the smell make it a bit better? I'll finish these crayfish for you. I put on my gloves. I asked thoughtfully, what's wrong? Can't you eat with your left hand? Wasn't it fine before? He said in a frantic tone, Ziyan, be a human. I thought I was being a pretty good person. The ant from the Shen family said, Shen Yachu ate more than yesterday. Looks like my appetite-stimulating strategy really worked. After lunch, I laid on the couch in the hospital room, idly resting, while Shen Yachu was handling work. As expected of a CEO, his willpower was uncheckable, something us mere mortals couldn't deny. A woman working hard really is much more virtuous than usual. You have drool on your chin. Shen Yachu's cold voice rang out. I quickly wiped my mouth and realized he was just teasing me. As I looked at him, he smiled, and it felt like it was the first time I had seen him smile. Damn, he's so beautiful. You like me, huh? Yeah, Shen Yachu, although he always wears a cold face. It's hard to resist his beauty. So, what if I don't like you? Doesn't matter, no rush. Shen Yachu, Ziyan. Your mental state has successfully caught my attention. I was outside the hospital room, punching and kicking the air. Shen Yachu cursed at me. I couldn't go back, because the original male lead arrived. Jibadai came to visit him. I thoughtfully gave them space and closed the door. But in reality, I quietly eavesdropped behind the door. 3 minutes passed, and I didn't hear anything. Just as I was about to give up and wander around, the door opened. Jibadai came out, his eyes slightly red. They had argued. It shouldn't have been like that. When I entered the room, Shen Yachu was standing in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window, sunlight pouring over him like a halo surrounding him, adding an extra layer of distance to him. I cleared my throat and walked over slowly. Life is but a fleeting moment. Why worrying about the troubles of this world? You should enjoy life like the moon in the pool. This was a line from a movie that resonated deeply with me. I had prepared it to use as a reference. At that moment, seeing that Shen Yachu had broken his bones because of me and suffered emotional setbacks, he really was a little pitiful. I couldn't help but feel moved. But Shen Yachu just looked at me with a crazy expression. What are you chanting now? I smiled and said, what I mean is, you're more like my family's Labrador than my Labrador. Shen Yachu was about to be discharged. Uncle Shen invited me to their home for dinner. Because I had been frequently going to the hospital lately, I gradually became more familiar with the Shen family. But it's always a bit impolite to visit someone's home without bringing a gift. And the Shen family had seen everything: mountain treasures, seafood, jewels, and diamonds, all of that seemed tacky and distant. Following my mom's advice, I brought a box of high-quality live oysters as a gift. When Shen Yachu returned from the hospital, he thought a lavish dinner had already been prepared at home. His family was waiting at the door to welcome him, and as soon as he entered the yard, he could hear the sounds of laughter coming from the living room, accompanied by some tapping noises. He walked inside, but no one noticed his presence. "Uncle, you sure have a lot of pearls in this shell. Looks like you've been doing quite well financially this year." "Wow, Grandpa, purple pearls are so rare. Purple luck. You're really blessed." "Zian, I didn't expect opening oysters to be so much fun." "Come on, Dad, that's not about the oysters being fun. It's Zian, the man himself is interesting. Everything is fun when I'm with him. Let's not worry about whether the pearls are good or not." Shen Yechu couldn't keep it together, and he was wondering what exactly had happened. He just stayed in the hospital. When did Ziyan become so close with his family? This world is so absurd. In the midst of the cheerful atmosphere, I was the first to notice Shen Yechu. He looked strange. He entered with a smile on his face, and in a very enthusiastic manner, chatted with us for a few sentences, which didn't match his usual cold persona. It seemed like he had read my mind. Shen Yechu's uncle said, "Don't be fooled by his appearance. He's actually angry." "Why?" "Because we didn't go to pick him up. That's just how he is. When he's angry, he likes to smile and pretend nothing's wrong. Look towards the 5 o'clock direction and quickly turn your head in a moment." Hearing that, I subconsciously beat out a rhythm in my mind. I turned my head quickly and saw Shen Yechu, his head poking out in a sneaky manner. He hadn't expected to be spotted by me, and there was a bit of awkwardness. In that moment, something in my heart shattered. It turned out to be the image I had of Shen Yechu. "Shouldn't we go and comfort him?" I whispered. Shen Yechu's uncle replied, "No need, leave him. Let him be." Dinner was made by Grandma Shen, and Grandma Shen was an excellent cook. Rumor has it that people who ate her cooking couldn't help but shed tears and kept shouting that it was just too good. I eagerly took a big bite of the shrimp, then gave a thumbs up and nodded. My reaction made Grandma Shen very happy. She laughed heartily. "Ziyan, eating with you and your mother really gives one a sense of accomplishment. My mom has also eaten your cooking." "Your mom, the first time she ate my cooking, she cried. When I asked her why she was crying, she said it was just too delicious. Before, I used to say those rumors were exaggerated, but now I realize the main character was actually my mom." "Well, that's all right then." After dinner, I went to the restroom, and at the corner of the stairs, Shen Yechu stopped me. She coldly said, "Ziyan, don't think that by flattering my family, I'll start liking you." I wasn't bothered by it. I adjusted my sleeve, then slowly leaned in and said, "You're jealous." Just as I thought Shen Yechu would push me away, I took a step back. Then, feeling mischievous, I patted his head. I smiled and said, "All right, I'll only flatter you from now on." With that, I left. I heard Shen Yechu's uncle's voice behind me. "Yu Yechu, why is your face so red?" Then Shen Zhao returned home, and as she passed by the study, she heard my father and sister's villain-like laughter. "Oh ha, oh ha, oh ha ha ha. Clap, 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 clap. What's going on?" They laughed like they had just eaten a clam. "Brother, we won the bid over the nail salon." As soon as she said that, the three of us burst into a villain-like laugh in the villa. The Mei family is our family's sworn enemy because our businesses overlap, and we often clash in business, going back and forth. Mei Jibo, the young master of the Mei family, is also my arch-rival. He's been competing with me since childhood. A collective victory is a personal victory. This time, our family triumphed over his, which was truly refreshing. A few days later, Shen Yechu's uncle invited me to watch a show. I've never been too interested in shows, but Shen Yechu's uncle said this one had many top-quality witches, and I thought, life should really have moments to improve my taste. So I readily agreed. The show was great. It was really good, and there were many people. There were especially many young women. A young lady sat next to me. The famous actress Liu Lingling, sitting next to a celebrity really added pressure, especially with the camera snapping pictures of her. I quickly scanned the area and noticed someone in front of the camera. At first, I was paying attention to my expression management, but there were so many beautiful women coming and going. So I gradually relaxed. Occasionally, I couldn't help but make soft sounds. You really like it. It was Liu Lingling's voice. I nodded. It's alright, I think the quality this time is pretty poor. It's not as good as the one I watched before. I gave her a quick glance. I think it's all good. They each have their own style. You have a lot of preferences. I didn't know how she came to that conclusion, so I just casually replied. Of course, women are such beautiful creatures. This time, Liu Lingling looked at me and smiled, saying, "You're an interesting person." I ignored her. After a while, Liu Lingling added, "Actually, I was talking about the clothes." Is that so? What a shame. She glanced at me again and laughed. You're not even afraid of being awkward. I couldn't help but laugh. It was like she didn't care about awkwardness at all. After the show, Shen Yachu's uncle went backstage, and I chatted with a few wealthy women. Ziyan, you're trending. Trending? Is it really that easy? I opened my phone to check, and saw that it was a photo of Liu Lingling watching the show that had gone viral. Then netizens noticed the handsome guy next to her, and that was, of course, me. Soon, netizens were complimenting my looks and asking who I was. Entertainment journalist caught wind of the heat and posted a high-definition picture of me smiling at the camera. The Young Master Z entry quickly made it to the trending list. By the third time my phone rang, I impatiently picked it up, thinking it was another one of those spam calls about insurance or real estate. Thank you, I was about to hang up when the voice on the other end spoke. Ziyan? It's Shen Yachu. Don't ask me why I don't have Shen Yachu's number. I just forgot. Strange, what does he want with me? Before I could ask, Shen Yachu spoke again. I'm looking for my uncle. I can't get through to his phone. He's backstage. Wait a minute. I'll go help you find him. I stood up and walked over. There was silence on the phone for a while, and just as I was stepping down the stairs, he spoke again. Is the showgirl pretty? I laughed in surprise. Not bad. There are quite a few beautiful women. I sense a coldness in his voice on the other end. My uncle is still talking to someone else. I'll call him for you. No need, he said, and the call ended. What's wrong with him? Shen Yachu's uncle asked when he saw me walking over. What happened? Nothing, Shen Yachu just called me. He said he couldn't get through to your phone. That's impossible. My phone wasn't on silent. He glanced at his phone. There was no incoming call display. Uncle, did you tell Shen Yachu that we were coming to the show today? No, why would I tell him that? I had arranged to meet Shen Yachu's uncle at the door. During that time, I stepped outside to make a call. When the phone rang for the third time, it was picked up. Hello, a cold voice came through. Have you heard the story of the little princess and the rose? Shen Yachu didn't expect me to ask that question. I've heard it, there are plenty of girls who've heard it. But I don't care. Because you are my rose. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. Then I heard Shen Yachu clear his throat and reply, how cheesy. I heard him laugh on the other end of the phone. He said, got it. I suddenly remembered. It was already October. The fragrance of osmanthus was in the air, and the atmosphere was filled with sweetness. I didn't expect to run into Ji Badai at a restaurant. That day, I was with friends visiting a newly popular restaurant. Ji Badai, as the owner, came over to greet me. I looked at him surprised, because in my impression, he always looked so pitiful. But today, his aura had changed. It was stronger now. He invited me to the restaurant's balcony to enjoy the view. This restaurant had two things going for it. The food was delicious, and the view was great. At night, you could see the city lights and feel the warmth of the lights from thousands of homes. I've quit my job, Ji Badai suddenly said. Bad working conditions. I was a bit surprised by the fact that the original male lead had quit his job. Of course not. My dream since I was young was to open my own restaurant. I only joined to work with someone I liked. Jibadai handed me a glass of wine, and then raised his glass. We toasted and drank it all. Master Z, I know you've already awakened. My pupils suddenly shook. I turned to look at him. How do you know? Could it be that you also That day I went to the hospital to find Shen Yuchu to confess. But he told me that he didn't like me and asked me to go back and think about whether my feelings for him were just the suspension bridge effect, that I had fallen for him because of obsession and infatuation. I knew that their relationship had problems because Jibadai had saved Shen Yuchu, which explained why Jibadai's eyes were red when he came out back then. Then what happened? I kept getting angrier the more I thought about it. Shen Yuchu always wears a cold expression, his sharp tongue when working with people around him. You don't know how much pressure there is. I nodded. Yes, later I thought it through. I realized that if you remove the external factors, there really wasn't anything about him worth my affection. Just like that, I awakened. After awakening, the next day I went and quit my job. That's pretty brave of you. You said you've let go of the past, and you actually did. In these 2 years, I've saved some money. Plus, the policies have been good these past few years, and the family's income has increased. So I finally had the confidence to open a restaurant. I took a sip of wine, and suddenly felt a bit surreal. I never expected I'd be sitting here talking with Jibadai. Just a short while ago, I was the one who always wanted to sabotage him. I raised my glass. Here's to your bright future. Jibadai smiled. Now we're friends. But I hope next time you bring more friends to support my business. Before leaving, I asked Jibadai how he had figured out that I had awakened. He said it was obvious. Before, your eyes always carried a kind of foolishness. I want to harm you and I'm rich. It wasn't that obvious. After the conversation with Jibadai ended, I felt unexpectedly lighter, so I had a few more drinks. When I was feeling extremely spirited, I saw thousands of fireworks blooming in the sky. How romantic! When I woke up, I found myself in a strange room. The room was designed in a simple pink tone, which subtly hinted at the owner's personality. My head felt a bit cloudy. The smell of alcohol lingering on my body reminded me that I had gotten drunk last night. But where am I now? The door suddenly opened, and a tall figure entered. I looked up, and it was Shen Yuchu. Well, it's nothing. I woke up, and all the bathroom supplies are new. You can use them. With that, he closed the door and left. I went into the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face. Looking at myself in the mirror, I looked haggard from the hangover. Suddenly, a memory rushed into my mind. I called Shen Yuchu to come pick me up, and I threw a tantrum, not letting him take me home. I clung to him, not letting him leave. I pinned him against the wall and said, "You're mine. How could you not be mine? I won't let you leave me." Each one was like me, yet each one made me unwilling to admit it. What is this? I procrastinated for an hour before stepping out of the room. Shen Yuchu was sitting on the couch, working. I woke up 20 minutes after breakfast, and by then, he had already started working. I nervously sat at the other end of the couch. Shen Yuchu took off his glasses, looked at me, and let out a laugh. I didn't know what he was laughing at. I smiled awkwardly and laughed along. Haha. Don't worry about last night. I'll take responsibility. Before Shen Yuchu could finish speaking, I interrupted him. We didn't do anything, so what are you taking responsibility for? Is this how the male lead in novels acts after getting drunk? You don't mind? You don't mind my drunken madness? I do mind. You slept in my room last night. Remember to clean up my room and wash the sheets. There was a hint of disdain in Shen Yuchu's tone. I clenched my fists, then loosened them. Forget it, it's still my fault. But I still wanted to curse. When my sister called me, I was cleaning while singing wash, wash, wash. Brother, what are you doing? I shook the sheets, a little out of breath. Cleaning? The sun must have risen from the west. You're actually cleaning? Hey, I had no choice. I wanted to hire a cleaning lady, but Shen Yuchu doesn't like anyone going into his room. I said dramatically, oh ha, oh ha, oh ha ha ha. Why does it always sound like you're laughing like a clam? Brother, you're really pitiful. Shen Yuchu doesn't even treat you like a person. If you don't want to talk, you can just stay silent. Whatever, just say it quickly. I was busy. Mom asked me to remind you. Don't forget the dinner this Saturday. Got it. I responded half-heartedly. Just then, the doorbell rang. I thought it was Shen Yuchu coming back, so I quickly went to the door to check. I started saying something, but halfway through, I realized it wasn't Shen Yuchu. It was a middle-aged couple. Are you the man of the couple? They asked me. I froze for a few seconds. We're here to help with cleaning. Oh, you're back so soon. Just give me a second, it'll be done soon. I dashed back to the bedroom. That couple looked just like Shen Yuchu's parents in the family photo. I had no idea why I was running. Well, obviously because my clothes are dirty. I'm wearing Shen Yuchu's loose nightgown, not too masculine. OT2, feminine. Could my first impression in front of my future in-laws be like this? Of course not. I used my bag to hide my face, and as I laughed along with them all the way out. Then I left Shen Yuchu's house. I felt like I had nothing left to live for. My mom was in the yard playing with the dog. Hey, son, you're home so early today. Mom, do I look ugly right now? My mom thought for a moment. Not ugly, just a bit off. I walked into the house and noticed that my mom had elegantly lit a scented candle at the entrance. My life is like this candlelight, flickering unpredictably, dancing in the wind. At the banquet, everyone was mingling. The air filled with the scent of fine clothes and admiring glances thrown my way, especially the jealousy and hatred mixed in with their gazes. But they dared not speak a word due to my status. What can I say? I'm handsome and rich. When I heard the name Shen Yuchu, it was like a cat being stepped on its tail. I immediately became alert. Where's Shen Yuchu? He didn't come. Why are you so sensitive? What bad thing did you do to him? Dad, what are you talking about? What bad thing could I possibly do to him? I laughed it off. Son, you're acting just like when you were a kid and broke that expensive vase. Brother, you're not guilty at all expression is so familiar. Guess that's what being your real parent gets you. Okay, fine, I did do some bad things. The day after I sobered up and returned home, Jibadai sent me a video, saying it was filmed when I was drunk. It was about my drinking habits and my character. I've always been confident in my character. But when I opened the video, I saw myself pinning Shen Yuchu against the wall and kissing him, while constantly muttering beauty. My old perverted self was on full display in front of the camera. Jibadai said when you kissed Shen Yuchu, he didn't even resist. You two would make a great couple. I was stunned. His words hit me like a bombshell, and I was pulled back by the shock. Does he not resist because he likes me? So I opened the video again and watched it carefully, really paying attention this time. At that moment, I became a true master of psychology because I felt that I saw 20% disdain on his face, 20% hopelessness, 30% gloominess, and 30% anger. Shen Yuchu's words echoed in my ears again. When Shen Yuchu is angry, he likes to smile, pretending nothing happened. Everything fell into place. The day after I sobered up, Shen Yuchu greeted me with a smile, but it felt like the calm before a thunderstorm. I thought I had escaped the plot between the male and female leads, but I ended up digging my own grave again. This is how things went. Now, Shen Yuchu was like a cat to me, and I was the mouse. Avoidance was shameful but useful. I heard Shen Yuchu's car had already stopped at the door, so I hurriedly fled the main hall. I gathered with my friends. So how are things with Shen Yuchu? Did you guys end up getting together? My friend Han Cheng mischievously asked. I shot him a glare. Why didn't you stop me at the restaurant that day? I tried to warn you. But once you got drunk, there was no stopping you. What's going on over there? My attention was caught by the noise from the other side. Gu Chinking, dressed like a colorful butterfly, said, It's Meig Bo and his half-brother fighting. If you ask me, his half-brother is just as fake as they come. Gu Chinking, being a woman's friend, knew a lot of gossip in the circle. Half-brother? Mei family has this kind of drama? Tell me, I'm listening. I immediately became interested. It's just the same old story. Meig Bo's dad cheated while he was married, and had his son 2 years younger than Meig Bo. Now that Meig Bo's dad is sick and passed away, the mistress and her family have moved in. This story is so familiar. Old drama, forget it. Dian, you haven't come to see me for that kind of thing in a while. Gu Chinking hooked her arm through mine, saying in an exaggerated tone. I had to suppress the goosebumps that instantly formed on my skin. Pull your hand away, be normal. The cross-dressing thing you brought up was so creepy. I've been busy lately, but I'll definitely arrange to meet you soon. Alright, Ziyan. You have to remember to miss Yuan Zhao. I couldn't hold back anymore. I raised my hand and gave him a playful smack. Be normal. I told you not to mess with him. Han Chung laughed from the side, and Gu Chinking held her forehead, looking dramatically miserable. Ziyan, can you be a little gentler? Everything will be fine as long as you stop adding drama. Just as I was joking around with my rowdy friends, I felt a slight chill behind me. What's wrong? Han Cheng asked. I feel like someone's watching me. Cold, silly, you're standing in the wind. There was a performance in the yard, and it attracted quite a few people. Of course, I couldn't resist joining in the crowd. After coming out of the bathroom, I walked slowly toward the yard. Han Cheng and Gu Chinking had already gone ahead, but today, to match my outfit, I wore a pair of uncomfortable leather shoes. After wearing them for a while, my feet started to hurt. The moment I stepped out the door, a young boy bumped into me. A large portion of his drink spilled onto me. At that moment, he looked like a fragile little flower caught in a storm. And I was the terrifying storm. I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I tried to interrupt his apologies a few times, but couldn't find an opportunity. The onlookers' gazes were starting to turn awkward. Stop, I raised my voice. Don't apologize anymore. It's fine. Just look at your clothes. The young boy finally stopped speaking. The banquet was held halfway up the mountain, and the temperature dropped in the mountain air at night. Being someone who was afraid of the cold, I decided to choose warmth over style. When I was about to go outside, I put on my coat. Since my coat was waterproof, most of the spilled liquid bounced off and landed on the boy's clothes instead. I watched the expression on his face, from suppressed to reluctant, then to anger, and finally back to the same guilty look he had when he first bumped into me. As long as you're fine. From the side, a mocking laugh rang out. It was my arch-rival, Meig Bo, but this time, his target wasn't me. Meig, who are you planning to play the victim for this time? Can't you update your tactics? Brother, I didn't. Stop talking nonsense. Meig Bo was crying, his voice high-pitched. If I were an ordinary person, I might believe his pathetic act. But I wasn't an ordinary person because I saw him subtly adjust his stance and sneakily glance at the girls around, focusing his gaze on a specific direction. I looked in the same direction and saw Shen Yuchu walking toward us. The crowd around us silently parted, giving him a path. Without hesitation, Jia Xing pulled me away from the scene, which was charming but mostly awkward. His eyes were gleaming. It turned out his target was Shen Yuchu. I was in shock, just as I was thinking about how to handle the situation. Shen Yuchu had already reached me. He took out a handkerchief and gently wiped the stains off my clothes. Are you okay? I was a bit dazed, shaking my head. How could anyone handle that? At that moment, Shen Yachu was the perfect combination of charming, obedient, and graceful. And with his gentle gaze and concern, he was truly like a fox spirit. By the time I realized what was happening, I had already been pulled away by Shen Yachu. You've been avoiding me lately. On the quiet path, Shen Yachu's cold voice brought me back to reality. I realized I was still avoiding him. No, I haven't. Really, I laughed awkwardly. Do you remember what you did the night you were drunk? I don't know. I continued to play dumb. Suddenly, the world went silent. The air seemed to freeze. We were both silent for a while. Alright, I admit it, I remember now. I'm sorry, whatever you want, I'll make it up to you. I gave in first. It was my fault. My drinking was bad. Driven by desire, I kissed you, and avoiding it is useless. I've been feeling guilty. But the most important thing is, I've been too afraid to see you lately because I miss you. I lowered my head, fiddling with my hands, waiting for the next judgment. I heard him laugh. You can really make up for everything. As long as it's something I have, I can give it to you. Accept my inheritance. Why would I want your money when I have my own? Shen Yachu was momentarily speechless. So, what do you say? Be my boyfriend. I lifted my head in disbelief. I met Shen Yachu's gaze. His eyes were always beautiful. I knew that. But at that moment, I felt like his eyes held 1,000 stars. I asked quietly, why do you like me? It's hard to explain. But when I'm with you, even the ordinary days feel so interesting. Whenever I see other men around you, I feel like they're my rivals. It's strange, Shen Yachu said. I'm certain. I like you. Will you be my boyfriend? At that moment, Shen Yachu still had a smile on his face, but I could tell he was nervous. I had always liked him. But now, my feelings for him had nothing to do with any setup. It was all from the heart. I took his hand, smiling as I said, then today is our first day. On the third day of being with Shen Yachu, his parents came to find me. Mr. Shen arranged to meet me at a cafe. I felt a little nervous. Was I going to be asked to break up on the third day of our relationship? That couldn't happen. So I even studied some of the male lead's rejection lines from idol dramas. Ziyan, uncle needs your help with something. I was enjoying a pleasant conversation with Mr. Shen, but as soon as I heard this, I was immediately shocked. I sat up straight, as if facing a great enemy. He took a card out of his bag and handed it to me. Here it comes. I cleared my throat, ready to speak for love and for justice. Mr. Shen said, the first time I saw you at Yachu's house, I thought you were a good kid. Down to earth, hardworking, capable. The sudden praise made me choke on my words, and it made me feel very embarrassed. Let's not mention that this compliment was untrue. When we first met, I ran away in a panic, leaving a bad impression. Our Yachu has had a lot of issues since he was little, and Uncle hopes you can be more patient with him. The money on the card is a gift from me to you for our first meeting. I thought this would be a process of building up before the fall, but it was surprisingly smooth. This isn't a bribe, is it? Is this how your family shows affection? After I told Shen Yachu about it, he laughed so hard he couldn't stand up. I really wondered how I had thought of him as an ice-cold person before, when he clearly resembled the silly daughter of a wealthy family. Your dad is very straightforward. He likes you, so just accept it. He picked up the flower tea on the table and took a sip. I didn't know why, but this woman was already beautiful enough, and her skin was perfect. With the tea soaking in, her lips became even redder. Is the tea good? Not bad. Want to try it? She sniffed it, then gently touched Shen Yachu's lips. Not bad, it's pretty sweet. Just as I was pretending to leave calmly, he suddenly grabbed my neck, and I was met with a much more passionate kiss. He really never loses, but I liked it. 1 year later, Shen Yachu and I got married. The wedding was luxurious and grand. Many people were surprised at how quickly I stepped into marriage. Well, life is often about not getting to do what you want. but being stuck with a lot of things you have to do.